All right, guys, we are back. We are back with Shelby Anderson. She is well, first of all, I'd like to introduce you as a fantastic human being, but she's got a lot of accolades, too. She's worked for Polaris RZR. She's in college. She's doing a very good job in school. And something that I'm a little bit jealous about, she's a UTV world champion, and she's a very, very good UTV racer. And one of the things that we're going to talk about tonight as well is she's an advocate to helping train kids. So thank you very much for passing on so much positivity, Shelby. It's great to have you on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm really honored that you guys had me on. Obviously, George, you've been through a lot, and it's awesome to see you overcome what you've overcome so far in your life. So I'm really, really excited to be on.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I think, like Casey was saying, everybody's kind of been through their own deals, right? And it's kind of crazy, the world that we're living in right now. We'll get into your story, but what do you think about this just craziness that's happened overall these last few months?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that you would see in like a sci-fi movie is the best way I can explain it. It's not something I think we would have ever expected to see in our lives, so it's weird to kind of see it all unfold and see what's happening, but we'll get through it. It's just another thing. Like, we lived through swine flu, we lived through Ebola, we lived through it all, so we'll get through it. It's just time.
Yeah, exactly. I definitely agree with that. It's kind of nice to hear such a simple outlook on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
The main thing that I was thinking was pretty crazy over the last past couple months is how much actual change it's had in people's demeanor and stuff. Like, we were joking a little bit about it, and you said, oh, I forgot what day it was. And it's actually like, that is so common right now. Like, people are like just forgetting like their whole life almost.
Totally.
Yeah, I mean, without actually going to school and without having any races, you're not keeping track of what day it is and what's going on. So you're just like, oh, I actually posted something today that it said, like, during this epidemic, it had all of the day, like Monday crossed off, and they all just said day. And that's what it feels like. Like, you don't know what day it is today. I actually started school today, so I think I'll get back on track with that. But
so how's that going? Like, how are they doing that?
I have Zoom classes so far for my first ones that I had today. So the teacher's on there, and then we sign in at the same time that our class was supposed to be on. And she just kind of shares her screen and goes through lectures and like went through the syllabus and stuff today, so we knew what to expect in the class. But we're doing it every day.
Was
like
it super
every week
weird?
We're gonna keep doing the same thing. Yeah, it was weird because I'm more of a person that I need the physical interaction to really grasp what's going on. So I'm gonna have to make some new strengths this quarter for my school to figure it out. I'm so close to being done that I just want to get through it at this point. So
yeah, exactly. Well, and you've been through it a little bit too, like not to touch on it right now, but because we'll get into it, but conference calls with working with Polaris and different things like that, so you probably already understand a lot of that technology stuff, huh?
Yeah, when I was working for Polaris, I was there summer of 2018. I was when I lived there for an internship, and then I came home in September and started just working until this past year with them. And I had to do everything on like video conferences, phone conferences, and all stuff on the computer. So it's not too out of whack for me, but it's still just different because I'm so used to being at school that it's weird that it's school, not work.
Could you imagine going to school like that?
Well, I was just going to say, you're probably in the, it's a very small percentile of what you're having to do. So imagine the rest of the class. It's probably so weird for them. Like, it's just like you said, the things you've done and, talking on a podcast and having a camera, whatever, it's not a big deal because you've done it. But all of a sudden, if you're like, hey, I have to make this work and you've got no clue, I'll bet it's like crazy for a lot of different people that are having to do it like that.
Oh,
like
yeah.
Her classmates and stuff?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of kids I go to school with are full-time just in school. Like, they'll have a little side job or something, but still they're just used to going to school Monday through Friday.
Right.
And now we have these big group texts that everybody sends out to each of my classes, and everybody's like, how's this going to work? What are we going to do? We can't all fail, right? I'm like, guys, it's going to be fine.
Right.
I promise we'll figure it out. They're not, like, everybody's learning, so it'll get figured out.
Oh, that's funny. Caden Danbury just chimed in and he said he'd rather be home than sitting in the classroom.
Yeah, that's the thing is my 8 a.m. classes, I can still just be in bed watching it instead of having to get up at 7 o'clock in the morning, 6:30 to get ready and drive out to San Bernardino and do it there. So there's positives and negatives for sure.
For
That's
sure.
true. Yep.
Well, let's take a step back then real quick. And you said San Bernardino, but where did you actually grow up?
I'm born and raised in Riverside. Always. My dad was born and raised here. My mom, all of us have just never left Riverside. So, yeah, which is actually pretty cool because Riverside actually has a pretty big history of racing too. My dad helped start a high school motocross team, and there was Riverside Raceway, and my dad and my grandpa were really associated with all that stuff being in high voltage electricians. So they've always been kind of involved in riding and stuff like that.
That's actually really cool. And when we were racing dirt bikes and stuff, everything was around there, like Paris and obviously Glen Helen and all those places. We were always around those areas. Man.
I think everybody's always said it's like the hotbed, but it really is. It's like for everything, it seems like.
And I remember a famous motocrosser, Jeff Emig. He's from Riverside too. So that's actually a pretty cool place to grow up. Did you guys have a lot of fun stuff to do when you were little?
My grandma has a lot of property, so that's where I actually learned how to ride a motorcycle, like a dirt bike for the first time, was up there. Of course, just PW50. I feel like that's where everybody starts, but...
Okay, so I was just going to chime in.
You have no idea, Shelby. You have no idea.
I was just going to chime in and say, have you ever ridden a dirt bike? And then you totally go and one-up me because he was saying last show or whatever, he was saying the PW50
Every
is
show. It's the catalyst for greatness for off-road. It is. It really is. So many dreams have been
literally
started.
Everyone.
Yep, with a PW50.
So instead of the Ricky Bobby movie saying he wakes up and pisses excellence, that's what the PW50 is. Just starts excellence right off the.
And I just picture it's always in a different. It's ugly or it's pretty or it's worn out, messed up. The last one was found in the side of a street or whatever. Remember junk?
Yeah.
It's like these little. It's the orphan bike that sends everybody off into their, off-road abyss or what. I don't even know how to put it.
And when was the last time they actually made an improvement to that bike? 1974?
Never. Yeah, exactly. Bold new graphics. That's all they've ever done, I think.
What color was yours, Shelby?
Blue.
Yeah, you got the blue one.
I'm sure mine was passed down from, I'm sure RJ and Ronnie and a bunch of other people rode it before I did. So it was just a hand-me-down from everyone.
So
we all grew up on that thing.
Perfect.
I was watching a YouTube video this morning or yesterday, and this guy took his girlfriend, that she was a rider too, but he took her to the dealership, and he bought a new dirt bike. But she was out in the back, looking at all these cool new uniforms and stuff. Did you have a super really pink or dialed in uniform or a super cool helmet or anything? Because I know now, if anybody that doesn't know you, your cars always look super good.
Back then, I think I have the gear still. I don't know where it is, but I saw it the other day, and everything was just pinked out. And I'm pretty sure back then that's because that was the only thing they had for little girls. But yeah, it was just all pinked out. My dad got me my own helmet for Christmas. I think when I was 3 or 4, he got me one. And so, yeah, I had the full setup. And then as soon as I started actually getting half decent on it, my mom shut me down. So
she's like, "No, you can't go any faster.
Not
You're gonna get hurt."
Yeah, she shut it down really quick when I started actually my dad tried to encourage me jumping and stuff. My mom was like, "No."
Nope.
Do you remember how old you were?
Maybe 5.
Dang, and you were already going that hard?
I mean, it's a PW50, but
yeah, but you're 5 too.
Yeah.
Come on.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what happened to the PW50?
Honestly, that's a good question. I have no idea. I'm sure it's probably either got sold or it's buried somewhere. My dad has a bunch of old bikes. We have 2 XR75s that is a 1975 and a 1977, and
nice.
My dad's got a 500. He's got a bunch of really cool bikes that hopefully one day we can fix up and start riding them, but I'm sure stuff's hidden somewhere.
Dude, those are all cool bikes, though.
Yeah, they
too.
are.
We have a couple people that that we deal with here. One of his name is Jeff Furrier from a company called UPR.com. He services actually like a lot of the trophy trucks and stuff with seat pads and seats and sparkle and stuff like that. But he's been super into those old bikes like since day one. So he would love to see some of that stuff because I'm sure that you could make those things cherry if you put a little bit of work into them.
Yeah, there's a 77 XR75 that it runs. Like I brought it as a pit bike for a while to the track. And
No
so
way.
it runs, it works. Yeah. I'll have to bring it to the next race whenever that may be. I'll have to bring it, but
Is that the one with the cushiony seat, like the pretty
That's-
big seat?
That's the one that Ray used to go
Yeah.
shred with us on.
Yeah.
Remember that?
But he was just like full
He was
tilt the
full
whole time.
pin, yeah. He rang that thing's neck.
yeah, they're so cool though. I love old bikes and stuff like that.
Definitely.
Yeah, I definitely love those things too. All right, so well, for our audience that doesn't know who your family is, would you mind telling us a little bit more about your family?
Yeah, I actually come from a long line of racing. My uncle's Randy Anderson, and he's CEO and co-CEO of Walker Evans Racing, which is obviously shocks and wheels in the off-road industry and snowmobile industry. And so my cousins are RJ Anderson and Ronnie Anderson, and they obviously have a long line of racing accomplishments, and especially in side-by-sides. And my dad, like I said, he grew up racing too, and he started the high school motocross team when he was in high school, and they did that for a while. And my dad's always helped out with Walker when he back in his racing days, and so did my uncle Randy. And also with that, my dad did a lot of stuff with Roger Mears,
Yeah.
which he was a guy way back in the day with Indy cars and stuff. So
Yep.
my dad was like the fuel guy. There's some seriously cool pictures at our race shop of my dad just literally pushing his car out onto the starting line for the Indy 500. My dad's done some pretty cool stuff. Everybody in my family has done some pretty cool stuff. But
That's
my
so
uncle
awesome.
is
Yeah.
also owner of CST Suspension, and so they owned a trophy truck back in the day that my aunt raced, and she would race the more Powder Puff series in Barstow. And
Dang.
she won the thing like every year. So with my cousin Austin. So my family is definitely pretty involved. I can say, but
So,
I'm
with-
very lucky that I've had him.
That's crazy. But and like so with all that heritage, your mom still didn't want you to ride the PW50 and air it out.
Yeah.
That was the thing, is everybody got out of the bikes for the most part and went into cars. I went from a bike to a go-kart, then to trophy cars, because she still wasn't happy that the go-kart didn't have a seatbelt and a roll cage. So
I don't feel like that's a bad
that's how I
decision
ended
at
up
all.
with
I
trophy
mean,
car.
No,
or trophy
that's
car.
probably a good one. Alfonso says mom probably buried it.
Anything's possible. She might have.
you get out there at the metal detector in the backyard
Yep,
and you
there
find a
it is.
PW50.
It probably still run.
yeah, to get it out and it just takes off.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Well, yeah, like although your mom, didn't want you to ride the PW50, I'm glad that she actually let you still stick in the motorsports with the whole family and stuff like that. I mean, we know countless people who have gotten hurt on dirt bikes, so it might be a little bit safer of a decision. So thank you, Mom, for keeping Shelby safe.
Yeah, mom's been a big support system for me. It scares her. It's always scared her when I raced, but she's always been a big support system along with my dad. So
Yeah, that's
it's awesome
awesome.
to have that.
Do they still come out to the races with you all the time, or?
Oh yeah, my mom is a school teacher actually too, so she sometimes can't make it out to some of the races, but my dad's there all the time.
Well, we're going to talk
And our
about.
friend Rob,
Oh, so they all try to
he comes
support
and
you.
just helps. Oh yeah, they both come and they just try and help me out with the car. We figure stuff out before the races, and so yeah, just a big old. That's the whole point of racing, is how it started, was because we all wanted to do it as a family.
Yeah.
RJ and I literally shared a car when I first started racing. We shared a trophy cart, and RJ would get out of a class, and then we would put pillows in, and I would race it in the next class. So
That's so cool.
it's always been a big family thing for us.
We're going to keep talking, and we're going to talk about the family stuff a little bit more, but we're going to put some pictures on the screen that that we had the pleasure of looking at. And so I'll just explain some of them real quick. I don't know if you'll be able to see them, but there's one of you actually, I think it was at a race where you're getting in your RZR. There's one with you and RJ and, Ronnie, and just hanging out. Okay. Sorry, guys, if we had a little interruption there. We had a little software glitch. But yeah, I think it's crazy to see those pictures. We can post some of them, or we did post a little bit of them online. That one that was you were, I don't know where you were, but you were like, you had to be like 3 or 4 years old, and you were peeking your head out of a window, like of a car or something.
Oh yeah, I was tiny there. I was probably maybe one.
Oh,
My
that
dad
young.
grew up racing legend. Yeah, my dad raced legend cars. All of them did. My uncle, my dad, and my other uncle Randy. They all raced legend cars with Ivan Stewart's son Brian. So they knew them really well too. And so that was what that was. Is my dad, after I was born, my mom told him he needed to quit with messing around with motorcycles and stuff, and he started racing legend cars. So
That's cool though. I love seeing those pictures though, because like we saw, we had Dustin Battleaxe Jones on the show last week, and he had one with the PW50. He was playing in the mud like
Another
super
one.
little,
And the old 3-wheelers.
yeah. And then
cool.
she had another picture where she was. I don't know if you were in a junior cart or a mod cart in the picture, but with a little truck, little cart. That was pretty sweet. You remember that race?
yeah, that was my first win. Actually, my very first win was like 2006, 2007. And I got $100 bill from, I believe it was Evan Evans, actually. It was either Evan or Walker. But yeah, I got $100 bill and.
Dude, that's how old were you then?
Maybe 8.
Dude, if you're 8 years old, you win a $100 bill. That means like you're like
Here's a hundo,
banking it
you're
in.
like,
Yeah,
What?
you're raking in the dough.
Oh, I was pumped.
What can I buy from Toys R Us with this?
Yeah, basically.
What did you get? Did you save it or did you spend it?
Oh, I couldn't tell you. I'm sure my mom like put it in a safe somewhere and saved it.
She buried it with the 50.
Yeah.
Yeah, she buried it with the
With
PW.
the 50. Right.
I was gonna say like because most people like obviously in any racing scenario the $100 is not even gonna pay for the tires that you use for the weekend.
Totally.
So I wonder if they were like, "Thank you, Shelby. We're gonna put this right back into your entry fees for next weekend."
Yeah. And then give you a 10. Oh, here's that
Yeah,
10 that you missed.
Yeah, that's probably exactly what happened.
So do you remember that race? Like, do you remember the whole thing?
Honestly, I remember parts of the race, but it's insane to me that I don't really remember the podium, which is really sad because it was my first win. But I remember pulling off and seeing Evan and him telling me that he would get me ice cream for winning, and then
Nice.
him and Walker handed me $100.
That's funny. So all these guys, like in their new Supercross contracts or off-road contracts, they're like figuring out all these cash bonuses and stuff. She's going ice cream, dude.
Heck yeah. That's. I think that speaks highly to any big event, though. Like I always take the stance of, okay, can you remember your best race or whatever it is? And a lot of times it's not how I finished, but you remember all this other weird stuff, like you said, and those are the things that really form the moments and the memory, right? Like you said, I don't remember the podium, but that didn't. I mean, it obviously mattered. Don't get me wrong, but all that other stuff is really what. Moving forward was what mattered to you. Like, obviously, the ice cream. You remember the $100 bill. All the people, right?
Ice cream, clearly.
It's so weird how that is such a reoccurring story.
So that was that was like where I was headed with this was like so I used to race motocross back in the day too, and one of the actually he's from Wildemar, not far from you. His name was Sean Hamlin, and one of the guys, him and a couple other guys like Tyler Evans and a few guys, we always used to race together, right? And we were at Glen Helen, and I ate crap in the first turn. I think I've told you this story before, and I was on an 80, and this is the most memorable race I've ever had in my whole life, even compared to like supercrosses and stuff, right? And I passed everybody, and right at the checkered flag, like not even 2 feet from it, I was like a wheel behind Sean to win the race. And I remember like the corners. I remember how I felt. I remember like the feelings in my arms and legs, like just like what she said. Like, but I don't remember the podium. I don't remember anything else.
So crazy.
It's nuts. Do you have memories like that, Case?
Yeah, definitely. That like one that I can never forget is at Carlsbad, which was the worst experience I ever had in my life on a dirt bike.
Did you ever see that as a dirt bike track, Shelby? Carlsbad?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I think it was a little bit before your time.
So we go to Carlsbad, they water, and we're Arizona boys. We're not used to this kind of dirt. It was literally slime.
Yeah.
And I hated life after that. I didn't even get on my bike, or excuse me, off my bike. I came back from practice. I didn't want to talk to anybody, just sat there. Well, I was so mad and in my, problem in my head that I missed that my moto was up.
Oh, dang.
So I showed up late for my moto, started with the pros, passed all them, and then got all the way almost up to
holy smokes,
the
really?
lead because I was so angry. And then, of course, the track was perfect. So then I leave there going, I love this place. It's the best place ever. But I don't remember the people. I remember it's just so weird. It's so weird how that happens. But I remember sitting on my bike and not wanting to get off it.
That's so. Do you have any races like that?
Oh man, I mean, obviously the first win one, I remember a lot, except that you'd feel like the most important part, the podium. But I've actually had some races where I've forgotten my entire gear bag. I remember the very first time I forgot my entire gear bag, and I remember my dad opened the back of the trailer, and I was like, it's when it hit me. I was like, I forgot my gear bag. I was probably like 8, and he just closed the trailer. He was like, "All right, let's go."
Time to go home.
I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, "Can't race without a gear bag. That's your own fault." I was like, oh.
Never did that again.
No, luckily I searched around and I found enough gear to race. But
Nice.
Oh yeah, never happened again after that. I'll tell you that.
Scare the living H out of an 8-year-old, dude.
Serious.
Can't race. Whoa.
Oh man.
That. And
I was crying, just hysterical.
You've been to the races a lot too. Like, did you start going to the races before you were actually like doing the racing yourself? Were you always at a track kid or whatever you call it?
I went a little bit before we started racing. We would go when RJ and Ronnie started racing. That's back when we raced core. So that was Pomona, Chula Vista, Prim, places like that. So we would go a little bit to go watch them race, and I would go to the Powder Puff races in Barstow to watch my aunt race. And I don't really remember my dad racing, so I can't, but I know we always went to those. But I was there a little bit before I started racing, and then one day my dad asked me, would you want to do this? And I was like, yeah, I'll try it. And after the first race, I remember parts of my first race too. So my very first race ever. So that's a memory I'm glad that I can have.
Yeah, you're probably addicted right after that, huh?
Yeah, it's actually funny because my first race, they were taking pictures for a calendar, like a or like an off-road, like the series calendar. And it just said RJ Anderson, but it was me because my head was literally like barely even showing out of the door. And so I was like, oh, that was me. It wasn't RJ, but it was like RJ Anderson. And because it was his trophy cart, but we shared it at the time. And so it was funny. I always am going to have that picture in my head of that calendar because it was just so funny how small it was.
That is pretty cool, though. Like all those little pictures.
Totally.
I want to see some of those pictures. I got a freaking awesome kick out of the ones that you sent over. Those were freaking sweet, man. It's neat to see that. Have you gotten on a dirt bike since, like, now that you're a little older?
Not really. I'm honestly too kind of nervous. I don't really trust myself being on like a big bike. I kind of rode a 125 for a little bit, but after that I was just like, I'm too scared. It's just so much I feel like that can go wrong and I'm not comfortable on it. So I'm just like, okay, I'll just ride around the pits and do my thing, but I don't really have and feel the need to go and like ride a big bike out in the desert.
Well, you get your
good
fixes.
that she knows her limits.
Yeah, that's true.
Because there's plenty of guys that are definitely
this dude.
all of us. So that's good.
Well,
I was going to make the comment to it about it's so cool that you have all the history. The family is so immersed in racing, and then they just allowed you to kind of get a love for it, right? It wasn't like a spoon-fed down your throat thing. Here, you're going to do this because this is our legacy. They just let you
really
kind of.
Good point.
So I would bet that the love for this is. I mean, I don't bet. I can tell the love for this is genuine. I mean, you just love doing this. Obviously, it's super cool.
Oh yeah, and obviously with everything, there's been just ups and downs. But at the end of the day, racing's such a huge part of my life, and it always has been. That's honestly why I kind of chose the major I did. Because if I can't just race for a living, I can at least have a job that's involved heavily in the industry because I always want to race. But if I can't, then I have this degree that can help me still be a part of it in such a big way.
Dude, that is so smart. Like, I wish that we had made those decisions when we were younger. You know what I mean? Caden Danbury chimed in again and said, she's down for the 110, though. And Jason Merrill gave you a few thumbs up.
Yeah, I am down for the 110.
That's awesome. The thing that I was trying to tell Casey, like when I got out of dirt bikes and I started doing other stuff, and I got my degree just like you did, and I started getting into the side by side stuff, right? Because I thought it was a cool way to transition in. And all the motocross guys say the same thing, right? Like if they're a hardcore motocross guy, oh, you're stupid, you're driving a 4-wheel vehicle and it's got a steering wheel, right? And I was trying to like explain to everybody, like, dude, it's like what you said, like it gives you like that same adrenaline rush. Like these things are so gnarly nowadays that you can rip around and do almost like this. I mean, you can't scrub, but you can do almost everything you can on a dirt bike. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think it's definitely moto guys and moto people underrate it for sure, because it's not as easy as people think. They call it quads and they call it golf carts, but it's not as easy as it seems.
When you drove around my side-by-side, what did you think?
So I thought, first of all, they're awesome. It's a race car, right? Because you invited me out, and I've known you for a long time, obviously, and we race together and everything. So I can tell that if you're what you're putting into it, it's no joke. Like I already have the respect for it. But I definitely know how all these people are talking, oh, golf cart. Well, I don't agree with that. So first time I get in it, race car, never driven it, and I'm like, wow, this is awesome. And again, it's a race car.
Yeah.
I get it.
It's like super crazy to see. Oh, we got Chris chiming in, and he said, did you play any other sports like or dance or cheerleading or anything?
No.
All right, Chris. Nope.
She's a racing
I
racing
used to
family.
dance when I was really little, but I've really never done anything besides race. I've always just loved it. I started when I was probably 6, started just driving around and doing little races here and there. So it's just always been with me. I'm about to be 23 next week, so it's been a long time.
Yeah, I mean, you may as well call it a day. Yeah, you should just retire soon, right? So, dude, she just made me feel so much better, right? Like, so 6 to 23, that's what, 13, 16 years, 17 years? So she's been holding a steering wheel for 17 years, right? And she waxed me at the UTV World Championship. And I only been doing it, like my side-by-side career is only 5 years old, right, people? So she's already got 11 years on me. So I don't feel so bad after she just smoked me.
Hey, when you're a world champ, doesn't matter what you look like.
You're still a world champ.
You're still a world champ, absolutely.
That's one of the things that I definitely want to talk about because that was super cool, a super cool moment. But what are some of the other moments that you had during your tenure or I don't know, teenage years that were really memorable for you?
Man, I feel like I've had quite a few. It doesn't even feel like I've been racing for that long. I feel like yesterday is like 2007. Like, it's so weird that I've been racing so long.
That's what I say every day.
It's so weird, but I think like my first win, like I said, was really cool. And then even just going through, like, I've got good ones and I've got bad ones. Like, I had a really bad neck injury when I raced a pro buggy in, like, 2016. And so that was something that was, like, scary, but it's just glued in my brain forever. And, man, honestly, a lot of the people I've met, too. Like, I remember I called in and I talked about my first experience with James. Yeah. Like, that first whole even year with James, becoming his friend and starting to help him out is something I'll never forget. Like, it's not even all about my exact racing moments, but it's also the people that I've met kind of along the way that have made it almost more memorable in a sense. Like, winning's cool and podiuming is cool, but you just build like relationships and families that you would have never even imagined.
Dude, we were just talking about that stuff. The people are always the most important thing. Yeah, like I just said it a little bit ago before you came on the show, is when you're on your deathbed, you're not going to think about tacos. You're not going to think about Polaris razors. You're not going to think about any of that. You're going to think about the people that were around you. You're going to think about your mom wanting to get back at her for burying your PW50.
Yeah. Well, and more to your point,
yeah, exactly.
she's already forward thinking of, I'll get a degree or whatever, so I can stay in that industry
Dude,
because of the
100%.
people. I'm sure you agree.
Well, we had a couple people chime in too. Brett Carpenter said, "What's up, crew?" And then, well, I've known Shelby since Rowdy and the Legends Racing.
David Peace.
Yeah.
Peace.
I can't see his name.
Yeah.
David Peace,
David Peace.
And then, we got a question for you, actually. Alfonso asks, do you have a specific pre-race ritual, or are you just ready to race anytime?
I wouldn't say that I have a pre-race ritual for sure. I try and like calm myself down or listen to music or just sit in my car for a second and think about the race. And I honestly think about the starts more than anything, especially at works. I've done this ever since I was little. I would sit in my car and I would almost close my eyes and think about every possible way the start could go.
Yep.
Which is and was, in my opinion, the most important part, because if you don't get a good start, back then when a trophy car, you needed all the momentum you could get. So if you had it at the start and something happened, it was hard to make it back up.
Yes.
So
do you Jeremy McGrath, which is a supercross professional racer that's won a bunch of championships, he used to say that. He said every single time that you go out to a supercross main event, there's two races. There's a race to the first turn, and then there's a race to the checkered flag.
Yep.
And you have to win both of them.
My mom actually just texted me, and I totally forgot about it. But for a while when I was little, this is going to be so embarrassing. I can't believe I'm about to say it. But I had this certain, like, color of underwear that I had to wear when I was little. And every time I wore it, I would win. Every single time.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And so I would always just do it. So thanks, Mom, for burying my PW50 and making me call out my underwear, but I totally forgot about it.
Maybe you should bring back that tradition, though, because I know a bunch of people that totally do that. They'll put on like the left sock first.
Yep, totally.
Did you have something, Case, that you did for pre-race stuff?
Yeah, I had a problem with a nervous habit with the fuel valve because
the petcock?
Because I wadded up so hard in front of my dad with my gas off.
Oh
my gosh! So here I am. Supercross, the freaking card's going 30, and I'm doing that last second check to make sure it's down.
And
even
you've
though
already checked it 10
40
times
at least. So I totally get it. It's just one of those things.
I never.
My mom always had to touch me, too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she always had to touch me. She would not let me leave when she was at the races. She would not let me leave until she like grabbed my hand or she just touched me in some way.
Dang, that's pretty cool. Like sending the positive vibes. I like hearing that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Like I know Chad Reed, he puts on like one boot first, one side first, and then he puts on the other side. Like I never did that, but I always made sure, like kind of like what Shelby said, like, and this goes back to actually what we were teaching kids. So we'll get into it. Like I always tell kids, if you ever want to succeed, you write down your goals on a piece of paper. You don't write them on your phone. You don't you write them down on a piece of paper because it gives you a much, much higher chance of success. And visualizing your race like you did, I would do those same things, but I would also do breathing exercises, not like hardcore meditation or anything like that, but so I could calm myself down. And that would mean that like when I got to a certain point in my head or in my body, the way I felt, that I was ready. Like I was ready to go.
Yeah. So
I think that's super cool.
Yeah, no, for sure. There's always something, I feel like, with everybody.
David P. says Shelby sits in her car and chats with the old staging guys.
Oh, yeah, that was one of my things. I was friends with all the staging guys, always. It was awesome. There's always been such cool people at Lucas, at Core, at Works. Everybody's just super cool all the time. So it's cool building a relationship. I mean, you see them twice a month, so it's cool.
It really is. And a lot of those people are like some of the best people too, because like I know like the chaplains and all the different people that show up to the races, they're doing it like most of the time out of the kindness of their heart. Some of them get paid and stuff, but they're genuinely there to just help and comfort the racers. Like you can't ask for a better human being than somebody that's going out there for nothing back whatsoever.
Yeah, and it speaks to that whole cliche of the racing family, because it really is. They're there because they want to be.
Dude, totally.
They're all part of it.
Yep. And she's been growing up. She grew up with it her whole life. So well, I guess we'll fast forward a little bit. You've obviously won a bunch of races in your life. You've done very well, but you've also faced a little bit of adversity as well. Unfortunately, you were diagnosed with Lyme disease, right?
Yeah, actually, last year at Vegas to Reno was when I got my blood test back and it said that it was positive. So it's kind of like, what? Is
Well,
that like, there's no way. But
so,
yeah,
Ryan Leverton says, yeah, we're really missing the racing family. Yeah, I think a lot of people are, Ryan. I think that everybody wants to get back to the races right now. And I don't think it's just the racing family. I mean, clearly we're all racing advocates and stuff, but I think people in general are missing their families. Like we talked about at the beginning of the show, some people might have sick relatives that they can't even go see in the hospital. So these are all really trying times, and we want to push as much as possible to stay positive and reach out to these people. However you can communicate with them, always try to communicate with them and be the best person that you can. So what was some of the stuff that you learned? Or actually, before you tell us like how you dealt with it, maybe tell us a little bit about the illness in general.
so Lyme disease is a immune disease that basically weakens your immune system heavily. And the main way to get it is through like a tick is what the most like what everybody knows it as is through a tick bite.
Mm-hmm.
But now they're starting to figure out it's through maybe any insect that sucks blood. And I don't know, I can't tell you when I got it. I don't remember ever getting a bite, but I did live in Minnesota for 4 months and I was around an area that I could have potentially. So I'm not entirely sure. I don't have answers about when I got it or how I got it, but I just started having symptoms as soon as I came back from Minnesota in about September, and I didn't find out till a year later that I actually had it. So, and I actually wouldn't have even known until my boyfriend actually and his mom had it.
Oh, so they were the
And
ones
so
that like.
that's how she was like, you're kind of having the same symptoms that we did. Maybe you want to get tested. And I was like, oh yeah, right. Like I haven't been around anything besides being in Minnesota, and I think I would know if I got bit. And she goes, you never know. And so I did more research on it, and sure enough.
Dude, again with the people caring about you and having the people
Absolutely.
around, man, that's so like I'm not glad that you got it, but I'm glad that they were around to be able to help you diagnose, because there's so many cases, and I've seen like with people around me all the time is the doctors can't figure it out that easily. Like you're lucky that they were there for you. That's so awesome.
Yeah, there's a few people actually in the industry who even have it, like Brooke Jensen, she has it, and I knew her from short course and racing. And Taylor George has it also, and she had it really severely, like where she was bedridden. And her family owns Funko, which is sand cars, and her brother Garrett George and I think it's her cousin Chad used to race back in the day. And so
Yeah, weren't they like some
yeah,
of the OG UTV guys?
oh yeah, the Georges were with Todd Arthur and all those guys, like way back in the day.
Yeah, that's cool. I think I seen them at Lake Elsinore when I was like barely starting to get like riding mini bikes and stuff. I'm going to ask you a couple more questions about the Lime stuff, but Sean Kelly chimed in and said, "Thanks for being such a positive role model for all the kids. You go, coach."
Yeah, his son's Mikey. He's awesome. They're an awesome family.
So with the Lime stuff, and we'll get back to when you went up to Minnesota too. But with the Lime stuff, what? How do I phrase this? Like, I want to know how it's changed you, but I want to understand how you've dealt with it to make it so that it's a positive change. Like, if it's maybe a two-part question.
It was hard for sure because there's not very many avenues for it. Like there's antibiotics, which is the main thing, but it's a little controversial because they say antibiotics only work within you first getting bitten, which is within the first 2 weeks. So technically, if you take it after it's already been in your system too long to where the antibiotics won't necessarily work.
Oh, okay.
And so that was an avenue I took for a while. And honestly, the biggest thing for me was stress. If I had any form of stress, then it would just destroy me. It would take me down. I was exhausted. I would actually get these headaches because I have a co-infection called Babesia with it that affects my nerves. So I would have like these on fire headaches if I got nervous or too stressed out. Like even if somebody cut me off, I would just get these instant headaches because my adrenaline would boost and I would
Holy smokes.
just go downhill from there. Like it was pretty bad for a while. I've gotten a lot better with managing stress and trying to eat healthier and be healthier is pretty much the best way that I could have gone about it.
So the biggest thing that I just got from those last few sentences that she was talking about, and this can be applied to anybody in the current situation that we're going through right now.
I think I'm on board already. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, you finish then.
Stress.
Well, not just stress, but her changing her to be able to deal with what she was faced.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. That's the positive part, of course.
Like, if you can't walk and you're in a wheelchair, you just make sure that you can deal with that, right?
Sure.
Or like now that she's saying that she has to deal with these headaches, the headaches may or may not ever stop, right? But she can adjust whatever she's doing for her new normal.
Right, and I think what a lot of it is that you could speak to this. You finally kind of have you're struggling through whatever it is, and then you finally figure out what it is, and it's almost like a little bit of the weight off the shoulders, because now you know what you can. Well, you don't know what to do yet, but you at least know what you're fighting. Would you say there was some kind of relief there, and then that lets a little stress off?
Yeah, for sure, because for a while, I think everybody was kind of like in denial about it, including myself. And like, obviously it's not what you want to hear, because there's no real way for it to fully go away if you catch it too late. But I feel like it's just life. Like, it's a mindset. Everybody goes through stuff, and it's just how you handle it. Like, you just can't let it just ruin your life. Because honestly, I feel like for about a year it did. Like, my mindset was not good. I was just not good for a while, and then I was like, one day I'm not going to live like this. It has to get better. Like, it will get better, but it starts with me. Like, nobody can help me but me. And so that's where I kind of had to put my big girl pants on and just figure it out and figure out what worked for me so that I felt better. And now I feel great most of the time.
Dude, exactly. Like Kate Embry says, you adapt. And I think that's really true. Like, we've had a lot of guests on the show, you know, some of your friends, James and other people, but like Mike Young, who just chimed in. Hi, Mike. We miss you, bud. He kind of said the same thing too. Is like you get to the point where you can kind of live your own life again, and you can start doing these certain things, and stuff gets easier. And now you're at a point like him, and Shelby's doing the same thing. She's growing this now, where she's helping kids. Mike's helping other people that have had injuries and things like that. So not only is she helping herself and getting through her own daily life, she's starting to push all that positivity and mindset to all the younger kids too.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I think without being faced with something like that, and again, there's nobody ever wants to have something like that happen to them. But you've definitely made a big difference in other people's lives because of the way that you see your life now.
Well, I appreciate that. Like I said, I've told you this so many times, but I look up to you too, because it's like, it's life. And before this Lyme stuff happened, before I went to Minnesota, I can selfishly say that I don't think I really had many problems until then. Like, the 20 years of my life, everything seemed to just work out. Like, it went great. Everything was good. And then it just seemed like everything crashed down at once for like a year or two. And so then it was like, okay, I need to deal with problems finally. Like, almost like my life was too good for a while, and then I needed something to happen. Like, it was weird, but I'm glad it did, because my mindset's changed 100%, and I feel better. Obviously, everybody still has their days, but definitely, it's literally what doesn't kill you makes you stronger at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
In school, have you taken any like sociology or society type classes where they talk to you about the human beings and their lives and stuff?
Yeah, a little bit. I've had a few classes like that, and like social science classes, and even like psych classes.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. After my psych class, I felt like I was a different person, because I was like, what?
Yeah.
It makes you think about just even some crazy stuff.
It really does. One of the things that I remember from those classes is that every human being goes through at least one, it's called significant emotional event in their life. And that significant emotional event, it doesn't matter what age. They could be 60, they could be 10, whatever the age is. It significantly alters their being for the duration of their life.
Mm-hmm.
And some people go through multiple. Unfortunately, I've had those. But the craziest part about it is that no matter what happens, you can see the human being either take the high road or take the other way.
Right. You always have a choice.
Right. And that choice is always a very, very drastic difference. It's never like this middle gray ground.
Right.
It's never like they keep going the same path that they were on before. It's like they just split and go like a total different direction. So that's why I said during the introduction that I think Shelby's personality is so fantastic, because she chose the other direction. And to give her friends some kudos as well, James Jeremia, who was on the show, and people like that, they've shown her the way to actually do that kind of thing. She's had family members that have shown her that way, and now she's doing the exact same thing for all the kids. It's awesome.
Yep. It's great.
I think that's so fantastic that you're doing that, Shelby.
Thanks. I love helping them. I'm not gonna lie, I've been slacking a bit because of my Lyme stuff's been crazy, and now this pandemic's just ruining everything. But I've always loved just helping them, and even with stuff besides just driving, I try and help them with sponsorships. Like, they'll come with me to sponsorship questions and marketing questions, and just help on other stuff besides actually driving. So that's part of it that I enjoy also.
Yeah. Dude, Casey and I, if we were little, and we would have loved to have a coach like you. Well, we'll get into that, but let's take a step back and talk about your work and the things that you want to do with your work. So you did you have a job, like just a normal job in Riverside before you went up to Minnesota to work for Polaris?
No, actually, my biggest thing was just racing and then going to school. So I did that. I never honestly had like a legit real job. I would like help out at a go-kart track, and that's what I did for a while. But yeah, I didn't have an actual job before I went out to Minnesota. I applied for an internship program, and Craig Scanlon actually told me, like, hey, I think you'd be a really good fit for this, and with your degree and everything, you should try it out. And so I applied and then got in.
That's awesome. And Craig Scanlon, if you don't know Casey, he's the now he's works for Four Wheel Parts, but he's or Transamerica Auto Parts, but he was doing all the Polaris RZR stuff at the time. So he was the head honcho over there for a long time. And I don't know that she got any preferential treatment, but at least he gave her the ability to go try out for that job, because that was a pretty cool. When I saw the social media post for her doing that, I thought to myself, wow, man, she must have had some serious competition, because it's not just a young person trying to get a job. Like, she's going after a job that we would like to do.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
You know what
Anybody.
I mean? Like,
yep.
Yeah, and some of these people have a lot of experience, and she was able to get up there and do it. Did you have a good time up there doing that stuff?
Oh, I loved it. It just honestly made me want to push even more to just keep doing what I was doing. And it's different learning in school than it is in real life.
Yep.
For sure. Like, experience is everything.
What was your job title for the audience members?
What was that?
What was your job title for the audience members, and like what was a daily thing that you would have to go through?
So I was the RZR marketing intern. So I worked with RZR, that brand, and ORV. And I had, at the beginning, when I got there, just a list of projects throughout the year that I would have to do. So I did stuff for dealers. So building dealer packets for the 2020 year. And like putting stuff together like that, wording stuff, pictures. I went to photo shoots of the new cars when they came out. Another project I had was actually for the Sand Sport Show that year. I had to build a Turbo S 4-seater from nothing. I had to reach out to sponsors. I had to get sponsorships. I had to reach out to people and basically build this entire car by myself, which was really, really fun. And it was displayed at the Sand Show. That's when the Turbo S 4-seater first came out too. That's where it was launched. And so we launched it with that car, and that was really cool. We got to design the booth for the Sand Show. And then I also did digital campaigns, which were like, we did stuff with Warfighter Made, and we tried to do things with a bunch of different like Army veterans and stuff like that. So we would reach out to them and try and work on programs to put videos together to go out on social media.
That is super cool, and
So
like she makes
yeah,
it sound
a
easy,
bunch of
right?
different
But
stuff.
there's so much little stuff that goes into that. Tell us a couple of things. So, like I said, you make it sound easy, but I know because I do a lot of that stuff on a daily basis too, just with a bunch of different companies. But what were some of the most challenging things that you had to go through that you felt like, yes, I finally did this. Like I did a good job at this.
Honestly, the biggest thing for me was trying to figure out like the digital campaigns because and even just reaching out to sponsors, I'm like, okay, what's going to look best for this? And then with me racing, I'm like, am I going to have conflict of interest with my own sponsors? So that was one thing that I pretty much had a hard time with, was figuring out like separating my racing life and my job life, because I had so many strong feelings when it came to racing, and I had so many strong feelings when it came to certain stuff in the RZR company that it was hard to honestly keep my mouth shut about some stuff, because I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm just the intern. I can't say much, but I was in a different position because a lot of the other interns applied on LinkedIn or they applied through something else. They didn't come from like what I came from, and I had a whole different view of the product than just a normal person.
Yeah, because your background is a lot different than those guys. I could see where that could be difficult, but I also think that it could probably be a positive too, because you're, I don't want to say further along in the game because I don't know any of the other people's experience, but you have a different knowledge base, right, than everybody else.
Yeah, a lot of the people didn't even know what some of the products were that they were interning for. They had never, they just wanted the experience or they just wanted the internship and for their schooling. And so they didn't have necessarily as much of an emotional attachment like I had, because I was so heavily involved in it already and I knew so much about it that it was different for all of us.
Well, that's awesome for them though too, because
Yeah.
they're going into it. They're really like trying to get in there and really kick butt, and they have the same go-getter attitude. But that brings up a good point though. Like, and you probably tell your kids this too when you're coaching them is, the more you know and the more experience that you're going at any type of job position in the future, whether it's racing or whether you want to be an electrician and you just know what to do with the power lines and stuff like that. If you give yourself a solid baseline or a solid platform before you go at that, you have a much, much higher level of or much better level for success.
Yeah,
Doing
and these
that.
whoever the razor guy was, I can't remember the name now.
Brett Carpenter?
No, guy that hired her. He
Oh, Craig
obviously,
Scanlon.
Craig
yeah,
Scanlon.
he obviously saw that, the whole package. So that's pretty cool to say, because like you said, there's interns from all over, wherever they came from, and they were all trying to get that same thing. And you obviously brought a whole nother level that probably made it easy for him to say, this is the person.
Yeah, I was very lucky, obviously, to have Craig on my side with it and just knowing him. But there was just so much. I honestly didn't know what to expect with the internship, because I'm like, okay, it's RZR. I know a lot about RZRs, or so I thought. I learned so much more when I was there. But it was just so much more of like working with different people in the company, like working with my intern friends that I had made, using outside resources to help with my projects. Like I would post on my stories and be like, okay, where is your favorite spot to ride? And I would have my Instagram people tell me, because that's what my demographic is for my following, is all basically people that ride or race or they like off-roading. And so I would get all of these different opinions from different people all over the United States and even outside of the US telling me their favorite spots. And so I would use the most popular spots that people would ask me, but it was cool to have that advantage, because I'm sure a lot of people couldn't do that because their followers were probably just people they knew, where I have these people that follow along to the industry and can help me out. And so
Dude,
it was cool.
way to use your resources,
Yeah,
though. That's killer.
absolutely.
That is such a good thing to do. And plus, I mean, it's not like you necessarily had an advantage. You're in the same fire as everybody else. You're just trying to see how you can put it out. You know what I mean? Like, that's awesome. Mike Gardner said, the girl is so legit. And then we also had Colleen Jeremio chime in and say, great to see you, Shelby, and more about your history and your great family.
Yeah, that's James's mom, actually.
Well,
Colleen's James's mom.
Colleen James is a fantastic human being too. So tell James we said hello too, and we wish him the best this year as well. Hopefully, you guys can all get back to the racetrack as soon as you can with all the stuff that's going on. All right. Well, what was one of the main things that you learned other than the campaigns and stuff? What's one of the positive things that you can take away from your experience with Polaris RZR up there?
Honestly, it was I saw Polaris in a totally different way because I knew the product, but I had no idea about the business. So just learning about the business as a whole, like besides just the RZR brand, all of ORV and how everybody basically comes together and we have these meetings in the office with everybody, like all ORV or all of just our entire building.
Yep.
We would all meet and figure out these are sales, these are this. Like there's so much more to it that Polaris does than just like sell razors. It was just crazy to see how much work and how much like relationship building means throughout the company. And so to me that was huge. It was just building relationships wherever you can is always going to help you. And it was just cool to learn the business side of Polaris because I knew the racing side and I only saw one side. I didn't see the dealers. I didn't see Polaris's strategy with it. So it was cool to learn their business side rather than just the race side.
Yeah.
Because that's just such a small part of it.
You get to see all the gears turning at once. Yeah, that's a super, super cool thing. I remember when, we were starting our first jobs and I got to get into it. Like, it's actually really fulfilling too. Like when you see all that stuff, it's neat to see that. I think you also probably have a little bit better understanding now that you're helping out the kids and stuff too. Because now that like, you can't just call a sponsor and say, I'm a racer, give me something. Like, what it actually means. Like, you already knew that when you were a racer, but now you see the internal stuff that was happening to get to the point where the racers actually get something. You know what I mean? You see what has to happen at the dealerships. You see what has to happen at these meetings. And that is very, very valuable information that you can pass on to people that you help.
No, yeah, for sure. That was a big part of me too, was learning why they did what they did. Because there was a few business decisions that I had seen that I was like, okay, why that? Not that it was wrong or anything, but I just looked and I was like, I wonder why they did that, or I wonder why they chose to do this. And it comes down to so much more than just they felt like it, which is kind of what I thought. I'm like, oh, this was the best to them, or this is what they thought, but there's just so much more to it that nobody sees. And so it made me have a whole lot more respect for everybody that worked there. And even like seeing what Craig does and how he's moved up, it has you build so much respect for those people, knowing what basically they have to do to keep a business being as successful as it is.
It's literally devoting their life to it. I mean, you've seen all kinds of different companies have those same things. Have you had any people commenting in on your live stream? Well, so let's kind of move. What was the next step then? You wanted to come back to California and finish your education?
Yeah, my internship was only supposed to be for the summer. And so it ended in September, right after the sand show. And so I moved back and they wanted me to help with some of the racing stuff more. So reaching out and helping with parts orders, and they got my opinion on some stuff with the racing because I knew so much about it. And I think that was one thing that they told me that they were happy they had me for, because they had an insight on the racing and I could give them the racer perspective. And after the internship, I could give my opinion on the business perspective as well.
Dude,
so I know they said
that
even... And so they even said that I almost had it harder because everybody expected more of me because I knew about the brand. So they tried to give me like harder stuff because everybody else had to learn their product when I already knew mine so well. So they said that they expected almost more of me, which put more pressure on me, but I'm glad they did because I learned so much that I can't even process it. But yeah, I did the orders for a while. And then I needed to finish my school. So at the end of last year, I was there for a full year. And I wanted to focus on my schooling, and they wanted me to focus on my schooling to finish it. And so by summer, I should be done and should graduate in the fall. So who knows? Maybe I'll see if they have any positions open, or I'm gonna start looking for other jobs in the industry. But
Well, what
we'll
degree
see.
are you going to end up graduating with?
I'm getting my degree in business with a concentration in sports and entertainment marketing.
See, that's super cool. I love the focus too. There's so
Mhm.
many people that are like, "Oh, I'm just gonna go into like uh, general arts or what," and it's like, "Come on, man! Like you're just wasting your money. Like you got to go into something that you're really passionate. Like figure it out."
Well, I think that's why, like, okay, like you say, you stepped into the internship with not knowing the business perfectly well yet, right? But again, I think because you had such a fire for the content or the focus, the brand, they knew that you were gonna learn that,
Yeah,
and obviously because you had the draw, the other side of it, the passion of it, all that other stuff came along with it. So it's, I don't know, it's pretty awesome. I'm pretty pumped that you were given that opportunity and you got to learn all that other stuff along the way, and they saw the value. That's the best part.
so kudos to her and both Craig Scanlon.
Yeah,
because
for sure.
and Craig gets a lot of credit on this one. But have you ever gone to, like, let's just say you're sitting at dang it, I just forgot what's the name of the Mexican restaurant?
Anchos.
Anchos. So have you ever gone to a place like
Anchos.
Have you ever gone to a place
You
like
thought we
Anchos?
forgot.
And but you say you're sitting at a restaurant, right? And you get really shitty service. You're like, okay, that guy sucked. But there's one time you get like a person that comes to wait on you, and they are the most amazing person. Like they got your order right. They didn't write anything down. They know how to do their job. Everything is killer. Like you just want to give them a big. You want to give them a
Yep.
hug when they're done, right?
Well, you're just pumped because they're like the best at it.
But you're
Right.
like, you walk away, and me being a small business owner for a long time, I'm like, God, I don't even care what, like if it's computers and this guy doesn't know it, he's gonna still kill it.
Yeah, exactly.
He's gonna do
It's
whatever
that
he can.
attitude,
Yeah,
yep.
and it's just gonna succeed, and that's kind of what I was
Yep.
getting from her.
Yep, absolutely.
Like you just know that they're gonna be an awesome employee.
Yeah, no
So,
doubt.
Yeah, kudos to Craig for picking her too.
I appreciate that.
So, what's the plan then? You're gonna get your degree, or you're gonna graduate when?
I should be graduating in fall of this year, so I should
Yeah.
be done by summer this year.
Okay, sweet. That's gonna
So,
be pretty
yeah.
cool. It's like, so are you gonna start like kicking it into high gear now to start looking for stuff, or is this all the stuff that's happening right now kind of putting a hindrance on that?
Part of me wanted to take my time because I want to for sure find something that I would love to do, because just like the internship, I think the best way I could do my best is if I have a good passion for it or have a good interest in it. And so I want to hopefully do that. And luckily, like being involved in the industry for so long, I can hopefully reach out to some other companies that I've worked with before in the past, if not Polaris. And so I'm going to see what happens. I'd like to start just kind of looking out there, and I looked at something for Red Bull. So
Ooh,
who knows?
shooting for the moon. That's awesome. Well, hey, if you do get a job at Red Bull, I'm going to ping you a little bit, because we're trying to raise some money for Red Bull Wings for Life for spinal cord research. So we want to make sure that is one of our main goals for the next 5 years. So I don't know if I ever told you, but we actually want to do a dual sport ride, like a dirt bike ride across the country on the dirt. And for every single mile that we ride, we want to donate $1 or get somebody to donate $1 and pay it back to the Red Bull Wings for Life. And our goal by the end of the 5-year period is to donate $1 million.
Dang, that's pretty legit. That's cool.
So we definitely, I mean, it's a lofty goal, but hey, you don't have anything if you don't have lofty goals, right?
Right.
So we got 2 comments that came in. One said, David Peace. I don't know how to say your last name, David. I'm sorry. Anchos rocks.
Anchos is so good. Like it's just a whole nother experience. Like, see, you just know.
So
I feel like I need to go now.
I know. Well, that's the thing, though, is like I'm not going to tell her the whole thing that we talked about, but since her last time that she mentioned it, we may or may have had like 6 or 7 different conversations within our Arizona crew that wants to go out to Riverside just
Right.
to eat there.
I'm telling you, let me know when you come out. Hopefully this stuff blows over soon. You come out sooner than later, but
Dude,
their tortillas are another level.
I'm gonna go to
And
California.
everybody can back me up on that that's been to Anchos.
We've got pretty high standards out here, though. So I'm excited because
100%.
we have lots of fantastic Mexican food joints out
Although
here.
I will say,
sure.
when it comes highly recommended like this, usually it's pretty good.
It's usually
like,
good.
I went to meet with our buddy, my buddy Kender that works at KTM, and I went to meet him in Murrieta at I think it was called like Street Tacos or something. But dude, it was like on the level of our good places out here. So if she says it's good, I hope it's good.
I'm sure it is, and especially if it's somebody that's on this side of the country is saying it's great, it probably is. When you start going that way, and they say it's great Mexican food, you're like, not so sure. So I trust you.
I actually got a really funny story about that, Shelby. But before we say that, Brett Carpenter chimed in and said Shelby will crush it wherever she lands. So I think you're gonna definitely do good stuff. And you know what you should do too is take some of your knowledge and your creativity and stuff like that, and come up with new ideas for whatever these companies are. Because there's a lot of times when you just inject that new ideas and all this stuff, that it makes a huge difference in the end of your career.
Yeah, for sure. I tried to do that a little bit with Polaris, but at the end of the day, I was still an intern and I had to follow certain guidelines. But I was always try to throw this in here, throw this in there. And even with racing stuff, it was hard because I was a conflict of interest for the company because I was a racer and I was a factory racer. And then I was working with racing. So it was kind of weird there for them, but it was just cool to have them listen to my input and take it and use it even. So
yeah, exactly.
It's cool.
You probably learned how to kind of walk the tightrope or whatever. Like you don't put too much opinion in the racing thing, or you get that's good. That's really good that you realize that stuff. Okay, so you want to hear my funny story?
Let's hear it.
So we are going to Loretta Lynn's, Tennessee for the Loretta Lynn's Motocross National, and so my dad and I are driving across the country or whatever, and we're like, oh, okay, cool. We're in, I don't know, Alabama or something, and we're like, okay, cool. We gotta stop and get something to eat, right? So we find this place that says Mexican restaurant. We're like, okay, cool. And so I go in there and I'm like, yeah, can I get a cheese crisp? And so, everybody knows what a cheese crisp is, right? And so she's like, a cheese crisp? What do you mean? And I'm like, it's a tortilla, and it's got melted cheese on it, and it's just a crisp, right? And so it comes out, and it's this tortilla with, the crappiest tortilla you've ever seen in your whole life. It may as well have been a piece of white bread. It was so sucky. And it had, whatever the
Velveeta?
Yeah, Velveeta cheese melted on it. She's like, here, is this how you want it? And I was like, oh my God, I'm so hungry. I don't even want to eat this. So I didn't even I took one bite and then we just dipped out, man.
Should have got a Taco Bell instead.
Taco Bell would have been the most awesome thing at that point.
That's a bummer.
So.
Oh, that's the worst.
It was horrible.
You think somewhere is going to be good and it's just not.
Especially when you're so hungry too.
Yeah, that's way worse too.
Have you had any bad road trip stories like that?
Well, not with food, but I remember we were on our way to a Lucas race, and I believe it was in Utah, and we were with RJ's team, and my dad drives the semi for RJ's team. And so we were on our way, and the semi got a blowout.
Oh.
It was 120 degrees right outside of Vegas, and we're just all stranded on the side of the road.
Crap.
Oh, it was awful.
Bummer.
It was awful.
Did anybody have a motorhome or anything that you could go chill in, or was everybody just sitting out on the side of the road?
We had a motorhome, but they didn't run it too much because they didn't want to burn too much gas in it because we still had a long way to go and they wanted to just get there. But we were all sitting out there for a while because somebody went back for help, and it was just, it was miserable. It was so bad.
All right, so we got a couple more questions for you, but before we get into these last couple questions, and then we have a rapid fire Q&A. But one of the things that I want to know is because Miles Cheek started this when he was our second guest, I think, on the show. He's trying to be this in my opinion already, he's a phenomenal cook because he cooks for his parents and stuff. So we already want to see this. Can you cook?
I can cook. I'm not Miles level, but I can cook.
So I still want to.
I can make some good enchiladas. I can make some good stuff.
What kind of enchiladas? I'm kind of down for some enchiladas right now.
I usually do chicken and cheese with green sauce.
Ooh, that sounds
pretty
really good. Yeah. Not gonna lie, I had those yesterday. Okay, so what does the future hold for you then? Like, what's and I usually ask this as a two-part question. Like, you maybe have a year goal, and then what's 10 years from now?
Well, obviously for this year is to just graduate and start kind of looking for a job. Like, I'm so excited to almost be done. It almost seems surreal. I don't know life without school because I've been doing it for 16 years.
Yeah, it seems like
I've
forever
been doing
now,
it for
right?
so long. Yeah, and so I'm excited to just graduate. It's pretty surreal and start looking for a job because I'm excited for what I'm gonna do. Like, it's such a cool
Yeah.
major that it's going to be something that I know I'm going to love because I already had the experience with Polaris. And so if I can do that for the rest of my life, there's just not going to be anything better.
That moment in life is so awesome, man. That transitionary period is just like, it's going to be so fulfilling when she gets that. Oh, Caden Danbury said your paninis are on point.
Oh, my paninis. I didn't even think about that. We have a panini maker, and when it's cold, ooh, things are so good.
All right, so we got a smart ass. Ryan Leverton calls it, chimes in saying, goals for the year. Don't get the Rona.
Don't get the Rona.
Yeah. Thanks, Ryan. That's basically what we're all trying to do.
Yeah.
Thanks, Captain.
Yeah,
Scary times.
common goals for all of us. That's awesome. Well, what about, like, would you say in like maybe 10 years or so? Like, where do you want to see yourself then?
10 years, I'm honestly hoping that I can go back to Polaris one day and try even a different part of the company, like whether it's in ORV or even outside. Like, I'm really interested in their brand that's Indian, which is a motorcycle.
Yep.
And so I honestly would love to go back there and just try different parts of the company because I like the company and I respect the company so much. So that would be a huge goal for me. Or even just being in a job in the industry. I feel like I would love so much, and I feel like I could do a pretty good job at it with my background. So I just want to make a difference in that industry, in our industry.
I think you definitely will, and I agree with
No doubt.
Yeah, I agree with what Brett Carpenter said, though, that she's going to kill it wherever she goes. That does say a lot for the company Polaris, though. If she's got that highly or high of regard for them, that she's learned all these things going through the program or whatever you want to call it. That's pretty awesome. If she wants to go back,
it sounds like the culture's right there. Is what I'm reading.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, it's just like a racing family. Like, I was such good friends with, like, even my bosses and everybody that I worked with. We all had so much respect for each other, and I wasn't treated like I was an intern at all, which was pretty cool because I was kind of scared I might get, like, belittled a little bit because I was an intern and I didn't know what they knew about me. I didn't know. And so it was cool that basically they treat you like an adult almost.
Yeah.
Is that the right way to say it? But they treat you like they appreciate what you say, and what you say is relevant and what matters. Yeah, which I was scared going into obviously a massive company.
Well, it might be
awesome.
It might be your delivery too, and the respect level they have for you as a person.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's probably more about the respected member of the team. And anytime you're looked at like that, I mean, how do you go wrong?
Yeah, you're already winning.
Yep.
It was awesome. I hope I can go back.
All right, so the last question is how our audience can connect with you, but let's make that a two-part question too. So you can connect with Shelby. You can look on at the Dirt Life Show Instagram. She's tagged there, but what's your Instagram handle, Shelby?
It's Shelby_Anderson 5.
Perfect. So you can contact her there. You can also look on our Instagram and our Facebook pages. She's linked in both of those. And one of the things that I always like to ask everybody, and I forgot to write it down on our list today, but what do you want to be remembered for?
Well, that's a big question. I think I wouldn't say there's one thing I want to be remembered for, but I would say the biggest thing is probably just being a good racer and a good, like, person to have been in the industry. Like,
that's what we forgot to talk about, the kids.
That's what I've always appreciated, even like we talked about it when I called in, is that, like we said, that everybody's treated the same.
Yeah.
And so, like, I know I'm a girl, but I don't necessarily want to be like, oh, the best girl or the best this. Like, I just like to be the best racer.
Yeah, that's a really good way to look at it. Well, I'm sorry we asked those last couple questions because we forgot to talk about the coaching and the kids.
Yeah, and I had an idea that I don't want to let slip.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because you were talking about, obviously, the stuff you do with the kids means a lot to you. Have you thought of the idea of what you're having to go through with school applied to the kids? Like maybe you do just like this to them once a month or something.
No, yeah, that would be really awesome because I know I've actually had a few people reach out to me and say they wanted to go out and go to a track, and I'm like, okay, we can. It's just a little scary because you don't know where everybody's been, and it's just a scary time right now. And with my Lyme stuff, like I could be fine, but I also don't know.
Right.
So I'm also kind of reserved in that aspect. But
you don't want to jeopardize
that
your
would
immune
honestly
system.
yeah, but that would be awesome. I have a big group text with all of them. So I should just have like a big group thing and just talk to everybody about everything. So if you guys are watching, I know Sarah's watching.
I think with
Text me and we'll figure it out.
Yeah,
That's a great idea.
I think with those kids there, I mean, for me, I want it too. Like, racing is the mechanics, right, and the everything, but it's so mental. So the mental, right, and so the mental preparation, what you go through. I mean, whatever. I can just hear the wheel or see the wheels turning. I think you've got something there if you wanted to.
Even right now, like just hearing you guys talk right now, like obviously the mental stuff is like when you're at the race day, it's you put on your game face and you do all these things, right? But nobody knows what's going on right now. There's so much other stuff that you can tackle. You can tackle sponsorships. You can tackle value of your program. You can tackle eating healthy. You can tackle like utilizing your free time to exercise. Totally. All that stuff.
I'm pumped for you. Let's do it. Come on, get going.
Yeah, get it. Woo!
Oh yeah, you sold me. That's awesome.
Those are all good things, man. Well, what's some of the funnest things that you like when you're doing the coaching? And well, actually, how did you even get into the coaching? Because that's pretty freaking cool.
Yeah, I actually worked for Troy Adams for a while, and he owns a go-kart track here in Riverside.
I think I seen that dude at the Lucas races.
Yes. Yeah, he helps out a lot of people. Like, he helped out the Deegans. He's helped out Ronnie. And I started with him, and he goes, I have this girl that's go-karting, and she's just like you, and she will not listen to me, so will you please try and talk to her? He goes, she's just like you. He goes, she's just like you when you were that age, but please just like see if you can get to her and talk to her. And I did, and that's kind of where it all started for me, was there. And then a year after that, I started going off and doing my own thing, and it all just kind of blew up from there.
That's cool. And who do you have now on your roster?
Ooh, I have a lot of 170 kids, and a lot of them are moving up to 570s actually, but I try and help James a lot. That's actually how I kind of met Justin. He was on your show a few episodes ago, and he messaged me on Instagram when he was just thinking about getting into racing, and he goes, do you think you could help like give me some pointers about sponsorships, about racing? And so I was like, heck yeah. We went out to Elsinore and we talked, and that's kind of where our friendship started.
That's awesome. I love hearing stories like that, man. You don't hear very many stories like that. Most of the time when you call somebody and ask them a specific question like that, especially when you use the word sponsor in your sentence, they're like, I'm out. Like, I don't want to try to deal with this.
Sure.
Like this, I'm not giving away my secrets. So that's really cool. It says a lot about her character to be able to, let's do it.
Sure. And then maybe she went into it knowing maybe you don't have the right attitude, but if we talk, I can help you have the right attitude. That's how I take it. Because just like you said, in all the stuff that I've done, same thing. It's just like you said. Everyone's like, oh, you have it, so how do you make so I have it? And you're like, well, hold on. Let's change the mindset.
Yep.
Go do the best you can first, and then let's worry about that.
Oh, you know what? You said this on a couple shows ago, that those are leadership qualities. Because
absolutely.
That's what actually makes it. So instead of holding secrets and stuff, you're actually teaching people and bringing them up with you.
Yep, absolutely. A rising tide raises all ships, right?
Let's go leaders. All right. So what's next with the coaching stuff? Are you going to keep doing that for the next couple of years here, or for the indefinite future?
Oh yeah, I plan on continuing to do it. I think everything's calmed down. My health's gotten better, and once this whole coronavirus thing wears off, I definitely want to kick it into high gear with them again. They've closed a lot of tracks, which has been really hard
I
for us
know.
to do because we would go to Elsinore and it was easy and it was kind of in between everybody. So we would all just go and meet out there, and then it had a track and it was easy. But now we have to find outside tracks and individual tracks that people that'll let us come. And
Plus-
before, it was all during school weeks that big tracks would let us come.
Yeah.
So it was hard for us to get out there because everybody had school. So
And plus that Lake Elsinore track is just so badass, man. I love that track.
yeah, I'm bummed that it went away and it hurt us a little bit, but we found some new tracks that we've been going to that are just individually owned. So I want to start going back there and kicking it back into high gear with them and stuff like that. So
Cool. Okay, so we have our final questions for you. And how old did you say you are?
23.
I'm 22.
Okay, good. Well, we're going to ask our first question is alcohol, so wanted to make sure you're okay there. Okay, are you ready for your rapid fire Q&A session?
Is she
Yes,
gonna
I'm
know?
ready.
What do you think? How's number 2 gonna go?
Yeah, she'll be good, I think.
I
If
can't-
if not, we can skip
Oh, no.
over. All right, you go first.
All right, Corona or Pacifico?
Pacifico.
Yeah, same. Barsha or Webb?
Webb.
Nice.
Do you know who they are? No.
Obvious by that
Do I know who
answer.
they are? Yes, I know
Oh, I
who
was
they
going
are.
to say.
Favorite food?
Sushi.
Oh, you're going sushi? Dang, I didn't expect that. I thought anchos was going to
love
come.
sushi.
Absolutely.
All right,
That
what's
was-
your
I
favorite
love
sushi?
anchos, don't get me wrong, but I love sushi.
What's your favorite sushi?
I like salmon. Like I can eat like actually like sashimi. So I like salmon. I like albacore, tuna. Like I like it all.
Are you down for all those too? Yeah. All right. Little Smokies or pizza rolls?
Pizza rolls.
Yeah,
Ronnie will
have to.
appreciate that one.
Dude, same here though. Addicted. All right, what's the next one?
Favorite soda?
Dr. Pepper.
I knew it.
Yep.
I just had a Dr. Pepper. I just knew it was Dr.
It's because
Pepper.
Dr. Pepper's delicious.
I know.
Dude.
How can you go wrong with Dr. Pepper?
Oh, well, this one might not be appropriate for you. This was for Dustin Battleaxe Jones. We'll ask it anyways, but just preface it by we're trying to make this show appropriate. Okay, Daisy Dukes or Speedo?
Oh no.
For me? Or for what?
Just as a
No,
yeah, just
let's twist it a little bit for your boy. What's he gonna wear? You gotta dress him up. Is he wearing Daisy Dukes or Speedos?
there you go.
Oh, he would probably wear a Daisy Dukes over a Speedo.
He going there. Okay.
Most memorable race. Hey, I think we got this one, but we'll throw it out there again. Most memorable race.
Man. I know you guys are going to think it's UTV World Championship, huh?
I don't know, but we just got a funny. Caden Danbury says that you can eat like 10 plates at one time.
Oh,
Oh,
man.
he also said Lake Elsinore is back. Is that true?
I heard rumors about that, but I wasn't entirely sure. So I'm not positive. But
Dude, if it's back, I want to
It
go
is
there
back.
again.
no, if it is, I'll go back. I will be back.
Nice.
But
Yeah, so what is your
Most
most memorable
memorable
race?
race.
Yeah.
honestly, I didn't even mention this, but my first win in a mod cart was at a Stadium Super Trucks race
Oh, really?
in front of like 10,000 people. And it was like on TV and everything. And that one was just huge for me. Huge.
Did you get ice cream?
So honestly, probably.
Sweet.
I was like probably 14 at that point, but
Awesome.
that one was one of the cooler moments in my life. Like the whole atmosphere of it and everything was really cool.
All right, if you like Dr. Pepper and you like ice cream, have you ever had a Dr. Pepper float?
I've not
Dude.
even thought about that before.
Mind blown, for real. Like it's
Agreed.
It is so good. All right, so favorite flavor of ice cream. Well, we already know blonde or brunette.
Duh.
Yeah.
Brunette.
What about What about for your choice in dudes, blonde or brunette? Dogs or cats? Okay.
I'm gonna have to say brunette, just because my boyfriend's hair is brunette.
I know.
So.
Good answer.
That's why I was throwing that out there, because I want to make sure she answered properly.
Nice.
What's the next one?
Yep.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs. I love my dogs.
Same. Netflix or YouTube?
Netflix.
Burrito or taco?
Ooh.
Taco.
Yes.
Nice.
Got another one. Yep.
I'm going to guess number 1 on this next one because I feel like
Yeah, I
her
feel like
answer.
it
Her answer.
All
okay,
right.
ready? Supercross or motocross?
too. Yep.
Ooh.
I don't know, because she likes
I'm gonna have
works.
to think about that.
She likes
That's
works
true.
racing too.
That's
So,
true.
I guess Supercross in off road would be more like Lucas off road, and then
Right.
motocross would be like works and desert.
Right.
And she does really good at works and desert. But she grew up racing Lucas, so
It's a tough one.
That one's honestly a hard one for me because Supercross, there's more action, and then if you're there, you can obviously see more. But motocross is like a whole nother different kind of animal.
so you're going with C both.
So
Yeah, see both.
yeah,
That's
I'm
good.
going with C because I like going when they have outdoors at Paula and when they had them at Glen Helen, but you can't see the whole thing. It's just
That's
different
awesome.
vibes.
She can respect both. This
Dude,
is awesome.
how was that race at Pala? Because I've ridden there a bunch, but I've never been able to watch the national. And it looked insane cool.
Yeah, it was cool. There's actually a big part of it that you could see, and they just had like huge jumps, and it was cool. Like how the whole setup was legit.
That jump coming down the hill, like when they did it, like had it, was it last year? Everybody's getting so sideways going down the hill. It looks sketchy,
Mhm.
man. Everybody's eating it. Okay. What other form of racing would you like to try? You could even do like monster truck racing if you wanted.
Monster trucks.
You've been trying to talk people into that one so hard.
Dude, it's because they huck it so huge,
they
man.
do. I agree.
I honestly, like, I'd go back to my dad's roots and try legend cars, street
Nice.
stuff, like go back to road stuff.
That's cool.
Because, like, legend cars, I think people underrate them. They have so much power in this little tiny car. I know that you have to drive them, like, way different than anything else you've ever driven from what my dad's told me and what Ronnie's told me, because Ronnie raced those a lot. So it's something that I would want to try, and it would be cool to just go back and see kind of what my dad lived through with when he did it.
I could see that too, because there's a lot of like, there's so many, like, people think a car is just a car, right, and how you race it and stuff. But I've never driven a car like what she's saying, but I've seen them, and they look super hard to drive. Like, you need to be super precise.
Definitely.
But I remember we did some like driving classes and stuff, and we put Hoosiers on side-by-sides, and we went and did the circle track here in Arizona, and it was like a totally different animal. Like, it took me a couple days to figure it out before I taught these classes, and I had the pro circle track drivers there telling me what to do and how to manage the car and stuff like that. And by the end of those couple days, like, I felt like I was pretty good at it, but I wasn't anywhere close to what the guys at the top level were. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And it was so different. Like, it blew my mind how different it was. You know, like they always say, NASCAR, you just turn the wheel left.
Yeah, right.
Dude, yeah, like,
Yeah.
you go into it, you have to have an open mind because it's so much different.
Right. Agreed.
What about like Formula
You have
One?
to know the car too,
Yeah, I was
is
just.
what's huge.
It's that feel. We always talk about that feel.
Did they,
You got to know that edge of everything, right?
did they say that the difference in cars is really big difference too? Like Joe's car versus Bob's car?
Yeah, it's all on the driver. Like, all driving styles are different. So obviously our height difference is mine and Ronnie's height difference would make a huge deal because of our weight even in the cars. But minus that, if me and Ronnie were the same size or vice versa, I probably couldn't drive his car the way I could drive mine because we have such different styles. And so the cars have to be set up for our particular style. Like, an 1/8 inch in the toe would make a drastic difference in that kind of car.
Dude,
Even in the razors, it
Totally.
does. But
she's freaking smart, man. Well, actually, here, I'll follow that up with a joke, though. Ryan chimed in and said she prefers blondes. I could tell in her hesitation. All right.
that's Corbin's dad.
Yeah.
So,
So he's just giving you crap. All right. What's the last
Yeah.
question, Case? Most important question on the planet.
Of course. Chips and guacamole or fries and ketchup? Some people throw an audible in here.
Guac.
Okay, we don't have to have the audible in here.
Yeah.
Some people throw out the ranch. Got to have ranch, so fries and ranch.
I love ketchup though. Like
Okay.
I love ketchup. But so I would choose fries and ketchup over fries and ranch for sure. But
Okay, good.
on top of that,
Same
chips
with
and
me.
guac.
Nice.
100%.
Hey, so if you love sushi, have you had shishito peppers? You know what those are?
No, I haven't actually heard of that.
Do you like spicy stuff or no?
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
spicy stuff.
So next time you guys go out to sushi, ask for shishito peppers. It's like shishito peppers. Like that's how you say it. So make sure you grab them because they are like delicious. They're so good. Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
I'll have to try that.
Well, thank you very much for answering all those questions. We learned a lot about you in that rapid fire.
Yeah, no, those are awesome. It's just like what first comes to your brain.
And now you're going to get all kinds of crap from all your homies online, too.
Yeah.
Probably.
All right. Well, so there was one thing that I didn't ask you earlier was if you wanted to thank anybody around you or you had any, people that you wanted to thank for all of the stuff that you've been through. Because I know, I'm not just saying in racing because that's important, but you had huge support mechanisms when you went through your Lyme stuff, and there's a lot of stuff that has happened in your life where I can guarantee you that there's been some integral people in there.
Yeah, absolutely. My mom and dad and my sister, first off, like my immediate family has always been there for me. And even though we haven't had the best, like obviously we butt heads at times, like at the end of the day, it's my family and I love them. I know they're going to be there for me no matter what. And also the Levertons, obviously they helped me with the whole Lyme thing along with my parents and they kind of helped push me through it. And obviously all my kids, all my race families, everyone, life's not the same without them. And I know I'd be a way different person if I didn't have all those people in my life. There's so many race people that there's too many to count. But yeah, I appreciate all of them and everyone that's motivated me. Like even you, George, and James and Justin, like I would not be the same person if I hadn't met you guys. So.
Well, thank you for the kind words. I really appreciate it. Do you have anything else that you want to ask her, Case, before we wind up?
No, I'm good. I mean, I always kind of try to wrap it all up, and just the whole package again. I think there's so many opportunities ahead of you. Just keep doing what you're doing. It's obviously making a difference in plenty of people's lives, and it's an infectious joy to converse with you. So it's obvious that
when they say like people have an infectious smile. That's very, like, if you put 10 people out there and say somebody's got an infectious smile, usually you can barely find it, but she's got one big time.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Shelby, for joining us. I really appreciate you taking all the time out of your, who knows what day it is today, right?
It's a
Yeah,
day with a Y.
We all
right?
know I don't know.
Day.
So she texted me yesterday and said,
Just day.
Yeah, she
Day.
texted me yesterday and says, "Are you going to post it today?" And she's like, "I thought it was Monday."
That's funny.
Yeah, I have no idea.
But you know
anymore.
what? Right when she texted me, I go, "Oh shit, it's Monday!" Like I was like, "Oh no, I've lost
Better
it."
get ready.
So you tried to trick me. All right. Well, thank you very
my
much.
bad.
Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for having awesome Wi-Fi and having your room lit up because you looked awesome today. Some of our guests haven't done that, so we're going to use you as a benchmark for our next FaceTime calls, just so you know. So, well, thank you very much. If this stuff starts, kind of getting out of our way here and we start being able to get back to the races, I'm going to see you there.
Yeah, sounds good. I appreciate you guys having me.
All right. Well, enjoy the rest of your night and tell your family that we said hello, and we really appreciate you coming on with us.
And work on those lessons.
Oh, yeah, for the kids?
Oh,
Yeah.
I will.
Is that what we're calling
Absolutely.
Good.
They'll be getting a text from me shortly.
Do
Ooh,
it.
she should call them Shelby lessons.
I have a Shelby, by the way.
Yeah, did you know his daughter's Shelby?
Oh, really?
Were you named after
No, that's awesome.
what were you named after? Do you know? I like to say that she was named after the Shelby Mustang. That's what I like to say, but that's not the truth.
It's a huge debate in my family.
Okay.
I couldn't tell you, but I have no idea. I'd like to think that's what it is because I race, and
We'll go with that.
my aunt tells me all the time, told my dad, if you want her to race, then she needs to be a Shelby.
There you go. So we'll go with that.
I don't know
well,
the true story. My mom just thought my name was cute, so.
Okay.
That's perfect. Well, when you go home, though, you have to tell your Shelby that's where she came from. So
That's what I tell her, but then my lovely bride likes to remind me that, no, it was from, is it fried green tomatoes?
I don't know.
Oh, man. I'm pretty sure that's
I'm going with
the movie.
I'm going with the car.
That's what I say. Yeah, that's easier.
All right. Thanks, Shelby Anderson. We really appreciate you coming on, and we'll catch you up at the races pretty soon.
Sounds good. Thank you.
See you later. Man, that was so awesome. Really appreciate Shelby coming on and hanging out with us. I hope you guys all had a good time listening to us chat with her, and thank you very much for chiming in. It was super, super cool to see all the interaction and see how many positive messages and even jokes that people were sending in. You know what I mean? Like Caden said, a great show all. Well, I think that the credit goes to Shelby for being a great guest, Caden. She was an amazing person to talk to. She was an open book for us, which it takes a lot to be able to do that. She explained some of the hardships that she's going through in her life and obviously some of the positive stuff that she's going through too. But at the end of the day, she didn't say anything negative.
Yeah, absolutely. She talked about facing some challenges and how she, like she said, she put her big girl pants on and went for it, and that says a lot. Stepping into a big deal with Polaris like that's huge for anybody.
Dude, that would be huge for us. We're old dudes.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking. And all of a sudden, it's somebody fresh in school. Like that's a big undertaking. So
absolutely.
That's pretty awesome that she's had those opportunities. And
it's cool that she got to line up on the starting line before that, because that's like kind of breaks you in a little bit, and then she goes into it so she can handle that type of pressure. Well, I think, personally, what we should do is we should all, for the next short duration of time until some of this, craziness keeps happening around us, we should all wake up with our big girl pants on every day and make sure that we all go into this thing with a positive attitude like Shelby does and make it a great day for everybody else around us. Be positive to people. Keep fighting, making sure that you're talking to everybody, making sure that you're communicating with your family and your loved ones as much as possible.
Buy somebody a bike.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. Joe did a good job for that.
That's pretty awesome.
And we want to say hello to Casey's dad too, and Casey's mom as well. All of Casey's family, his daughter that is named after a car.
And Lily.
Yep, and Lily too. And she's named after a flower?
Yes.
Yeah, perfect. So, where does Courtney say Lily's name came from?
There's not any big story about that, unfortunately. No.
It's just Shelby's? It's probably just because you have an argument.
It is, yeah.
For it, huh?
Yeah, exactly. It was almost Haley.
Oh, really?
It was almost Haley. I'm glad she talked me out of it.
I like Shelby. I think Shelby's pretty good.
No, Lily.
Oh, Lily was okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I like Haley. Haley's a cool name, too. Taylor's wife's name is Haley. So,
okay.
Well, we love Court, so you did a good job, Courtney. So next week's guest, we have Lucretia Brie. She's going to come on. She's a desert racer, and again, another fantastic person. She is a Polaris factory racer too, and she lives up in Lake Havasu, Arizona. And we got to spend some time up there in their shop, a while ago. 3 years ago, when I did my first desert race as a co-driver, and they're a fantastic family too. They have a lot of camaraderie around them, and there's those people that keep giving back and making a big difference. So we wish she was going to come down and she was going to hang out with us here in studio, but with everything that's going on, it's probably safer that they do it there. But she just told me today that we are probably going to get a sneak peek at some of the stuff that's going on in their, we'll call it new shop, because their house burned down and they're rebuilding right now, but with their new race car and stuff. So I'm actually more excited to see what their garage looks like. Even though we got to have them on FaceTime, I think we're going to get a nice a conversation piece in the background. Cool. So that'll be pretty cool. So thank you very much. Obviously, Case, thank you for coming over and hanging out. Thank you to our sponsors, Shock Therapy. Use the code DIRTLIFE to save money on the shock therapy stuff. I'm going to be up there tomorrow, so maybe we'll do some Instagram Live or something up there, and you guys can ask a bunch of questions and hang out with us. Like I said, use the code DIRTLIFE, hang out with them, on their website. You can always call them and use the code DIRTLIFE and save a whole bunch of money. Thank you to the guys at Zollinger Racing Products for always having our back. Use the code DIRTLIFE with them, too. They make amazing products, amazing products. So you can get anything that you want from those guys on their website or calling in. Thank you to the guys at Solder Weld. We really appreciate all that they do, Lance and all the guys over there. Thank you to the guys at Rugged Radios. Keep paying attention to our social media at the Dirt Life Show on Instagram, because we are going to launch this contest to give away these badass radios. You guys are going to really enjoy these things, especially now if you want to communicate with people like we were talking. You don't even need to have to go on an off-road ride. You can just talk to the people across the street. So, thank you very, very much to all our sponsors. Thank you guys very much for tuning in. You guys are our lifeblood. Thank you so much for being a good audience and giving us so much love each and every week. We want to keep producing more and more content for you guys, and you guys are allowing us to do that by keeping tuning in and giving us feedback. So we really appreciate everything that you guys do for us as a show and as a business. It makes a big difference to us. You got anything else, Case? Good to go? All right, everybody. Stay safe. Be nice to everybody. We love you. Good night.
Thanks for listening to The Dirt Life Show.